Bless my good Samaritan soul. I have seen a lot of confusion, a lot of doubt and general ignorance regarding Soulbinds, regarding conduits, regarding how do you unlock Soulbinds, when do you unlock them, is there a difference in power, a lot of difference in power, is it going to be crucial to choose one or the other, and a series of other questions not properly answered. So I'm coming in to educate the masses on what is going to be a pretty crucial part of your, let's say, borrowed power system, essentially, because that's what's going to be. So let's go over the Soulbind system. So let's start with the simple part that the more confused one will find helpful, and then let's leave the min-maxing and the theory crafting at the end for people who are more interested in that. So the simple part is this. You will go through all the 4 zones questing and you will meet friendly NPCs that will help you, right? At the end, when you will choose the Covenant, these friendly NPCs will come back and they will be able to link with you to form a Soulbind. The 3 available Soulbinds for each Covenant are pretty much going to be unlocked at the same pace and at the same timeline as you met them in the story. For example, for Kyrian, Pelagos and Clea, you meet them very early on and they will be your first Soulbinds, and then Mechanicos will be your last. The first NPC you will be questing with in Revendreth is Nagia, which is going to be your first Soulbind, and then later on you will get to bind with Draven. Binding with them, creating a Soulbind, simply means this. You get a talent tree. They will offer you passive effects as well as conduits. The passive effects are going to be mostly useless, mostly just flavor, not really many crucial effects except for 2. Most of the Soulbinds are going to have 2, significant. For example, Grim River can give you a combat res and can give you a burst cooldown enabler, a haste buff when you use your Covenant ability. Corain can give you Wild Down Tactics, which is going to give you extra damage to targets above 75% HP for damage dealers, or extra healing to targets below 35% HP for healers. And at the end, it can give you essentially a constant 3% less damage taken by targets in front of you. The rest that's in between, all the passive effects in between, are going to be very, very flavor, utility related stuff, While out of combat, your Soul Shape's teleport becomes a charge, your mounted movement speed is increased by 5%, your weapon takes no durability damage, nothing really important. So all of the min-maxing about how strong each Soulbind is going to be made around how strong the 2 passive effects affecting your damage or healing or tanking is going to be. And then all of the rest of the theory crafting and the min-maxing will be done around your conduits. The Soulbind trees are going to offer you slots for finesse conduits, endurance conduits and potency conduits. Finesse are the least relevant ones. They are just utility, mobility, sometimes CC, nothing very major. Endurance can be a key conduit, a very powerful conduit for tanks, and then potency conduits are the ones that are going to be powerful for everyone. The difference is not that these Soulbinds are going to offer you different amount of these conduits. They're going to be locked the same for all of them. You will only have 2 potency conduits max for all different conduits. The real difference is that they're going to be placed in different rows. Why is it important that they are placed in different rows? They are important because the rows are going to be unlocked by renown. You can see something like this. Based on the renown you have, you will unlock row after row after row, until you eventually will have all of the talent tree unlocked. Now, when we look at conduits, I mentioned it already in the how and what to do in the first week of the release, that conduits are not very important when it comes to actively hunting for them. You will be more or less getting conduits passively. For example, all of your potency conduits, except for the potency conduits related to your Covenant ability, all of the other conduits will drop from dungeons. And in the first weeks you want to do Mythic 0 anyways, and then you want to do Mythic Plus anyways. So you will be getting those potency conduits anyways. The Covenant specific potency conduits will drop from world bosses. On top of that, as soon as you choose your Covenant and you finish the first introductory quest for your Soul Forge to slot conduits in, you will get your Covenant specific conduit anyways. The only caveat to this is that endurance tank specific conduits will also drop alongside all the other potency conduits. For example, Reinforced Shell is a Death Knight general endurance ability. All 3 specs can use this conduit, which means it's not a specific one. The specific ones that will drop alongside the potency conduits are going to be something like Mid Shield, which is specific to Blood Death Knights. All the average general endurance conduits are going to drop alongside the finesse conduits in Castelnatria, in the raid. So you have your potency conduits and your tank endurance specific conduits dropping from dungeons, and then your general endurance conduits and your finesse conduits dropping from raids. You will have some of these conduits also purchasable from PvP vendor, as well as an item that allows you to discover a conduit you haven't learned yet from the PvP vendor as well. And that's how you will acquire the conduits. Conduits which will also have an item level, just like relics from Legion. So Mythic Plus is going to give you a certain item level of your conduits, and then if you get to higher and higher Mythic Plus, it will increase. Same goes for raids. Normal, heroic, and then mythic raiding is going to give you higher and higher item level for your conduits. And that is the general gist of your Soulbinds. You choose your covenant, you unlock your first Soulbind, and then every week you will cap your renown very simply. 2 weekly quests and 1 chapter of the storyline will give you 3 renown. You will increase week by week. You will unlock more and more slots and more passives down your 3 until eventually you will be done. Now, the min-maxing, the theory crafting about the Soulbinds. The reason why min-maxing is being done is because you will, yes, unlock all of them at the same time, at the same pace. Renown rank 1 will give you the first Soulbind, Renown rank 5 will give you the second Soulbind, and then Renown rank 22 will give you the third Soulbind. This is the same for everyone. The real key difference here is that, for some reason, Blizzard decided that the second potency conduit is going to be put into a different row, depending on the Soulbind. Now, I'm showing you an example here. Here you have 3 different Soulbinds from the second Soulbind you can unlock. Now, what do you see here that's wrong? Where's the problem? Yes, the problem is that one of these Soulbinds, namely Dreamweaver from Night Fae, is going to have the potency conduit number 2 unlocking at rank 13 of Renown, not at rank 28. This is a difference of 6 weeks. This is a difference of 1.5 months, meaning if you're playing Night Fae and if you're playing Dreamweaver, you can unlock your second potency conduit 1.5 months earlier than all the other Soulbinds. And of course, when you're talking about min-maxing, when you're talking about power levels, this can skew things around. For example, this is an Arcane Mage, currently simming. Of course, Arcane Mage is very strong already, with Night Fae is very strong already because of shifting power, so depending on the renown, it's not gonna change much. Night Fae is still gonna be very strong. But take Fire Mage for example. Fire Mage wasn't necessarily locked into Night Fae as hard as Arcane was, and we can see that at renown 16, right after enabling the second potency from Dreamweaver, Dreamweaver is clearly the strongest. But then if you sim all of the conduits available for all the Soulbinds, you can see that Dreamweaver drops off a cliff. It gets passed by like 10 other Soulbinds. So this can create quite a difference in which of the Soulbinds you want to have within your own covenant. But that is pretty much the only outlier. You know, if you look at this timetable here, it is clearly immediately apparent that Dreamweaver is pretty much the only outlier. All the other Soulbinds are going to be pretty much unlocked at the same pace. Renown 21, and then 28, and then 29 to reach potency conduit number 2, and for the Night Fae Inventor is going to be Renown 25, 28, and 29. The difference between Renown 21 and Renown 25 is just going to be 1 week. So that's pretty much the only advantage Kyrian and Necrolord have over Night Fae Inventor, is that they will reach potency number 2 1 week earlier. And that's it. All the rest is going to be pretty much the same. So I do believe before raid releases, Dreamweaver is going to be changed. The conduits are going to be swapped around, and the potency conduit, the second potency conduit of Dreamweaver, is going to be swapped towards the bottom of the tree to be in line with everyone else. And when that happens, there's going to be pretty much equal balance amongst all the other Soulbinds. There's not going to be that much difference anymore, so it's going to be much easier for you to pinpoint which Soulbind is going to be best for you, and you will not be stuck in the situations where, yes, technically I want to play Kyrian or I want to play Necrolord because the ability is better, but this Soulbind passive effects are so much stronger, or these Soulbinds unlocking of the second potency conduit is so much earlier that I'm gonna go for that Covenant instead. Blizzard has done a good job, at least from my perspective. They've done a good job at nerfing all of the powerful passive effects from the Soulbinds. Pelagos, Clea, Emeni, Dreamweaver, Draven have pretty much all of them over time been nerfed to the point where they're not as clear-cut strongest anymore. So it's going to be much easier. It's going to feel less bad, essentially, to go from one Soulbind to the other, and you won't feel as forced to play a certain Soulbind anymore. So I hope this helped give you an idea of what Soulbinds are and how you will have to play around them. Again, as I mentioned, there is not much min-maxing going on here. If you are a super casual, interested in pet battles, or if you are planning on reaching top 50 raiding guilds in the world, the amount of renown you will get every week is going to be the same. The speed in which you can unlock all of these Soulbinds is going to be the same. There's not going to be any massive advantage being given by the amount of time you played in the game or by the amount of content, the difficulty of the content you're doing. So it is very standardized and very similar for everyone. So with this, I will be taking my leave. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, nerf Dreamweaver.